Straight ahead on News Channel 5 this morning, a pleasant start to your Sunday, but the potential for severe weather is on the way.
But just recently we found out that we couldn't have anybody on the board of NES.
Another town just outside of Nashville wants a seat at the table when it comes to decisions made regarding the Nashville electric service.
And one local team still standing. Vanderbilt is chasing championship dreams. We are live outside of Bridgestone Arena with highlights. That's next.
Keeping you safe, informed, connected. This is News Channel 5 this morning.
Well, we got a live look for you at Bridgestone Arena, where Vandy will hopefully carry their winning ways into an SEC title this afternoon, and there's so much excitement that's brewing. Good morning. I'm Tony Sloan. Thank you so much for joining us. You saw our Kelsey Gibbs out there. She's live at Bridgestone Arena this morning. But before we get to her, let's talk about the weather conditions, because we could see some severe conditions as we head into the work week. Meteorologist Matt Stevens is here to tell us more about these conditions. So yesterday was beautiful. We even see this beautiful sunrise this morning, but then it gets worse down the line.
Two gorgeous spring days, Friday and Saturday, were wonderful. We had temperatures in the 70s, sunshine. Those 70s are going to hang around again today, Tony, but the winds are really going to pick up. I gave Kelsey a heads up. Hey, you want a little extra hairspray? Watch out for the hair. It's going to get very windy out there starting this morning. We're under a high wind advisory that starts later this afternoon and goes on into early tomorrow morning as the atmosphere sets up for some strong to severe storms later on tonight around the 8 to 10 o'clock hour here in Middle Tennessee. Right now it's 61 degrees with a little bit of sunshine out there, but it's going to be a primarily cloudy day with clouds moving in ahead of this evening's storm system. Temperatures in the upper 50s on the plateau and 57 down in Lawrenceburg. You're 64 in Bowling Green, 61 in Lewisburg here on this Sunday morning. There are those clouds. They're going to get thicker as the day rolls on, and we are under a moderate level 3 risk for the possibility of strong to severe storms tonight. Those will include straight line winds, potentially some hail, heavy rains, and we can't rule out a tornado spin up. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on that throughout the day. But the day looks pretty good. Temperatures in the mid 70s, 76 at 4 p.m., windy conditions. And then around 8:30 tonight or so, you're going to see that line develop and get going into western Middle Tennessee, eventually marching across the state throughout the overnight hours. So we're going to break down the timing of that for you coming up in just a few more minutes. For now, Tony, we'll send it back over to you.
Yeah, a lot to follow. We know you'll stay on top of that. Thank you so much, Matt. In the meantime, all eyes on Bridgestone Arena as the SEC men's basketball tournament rolls on, and it's down to just 2 teams, Vanderbilt and Arkansas. Now, to get there, Vandy stunned one of the top teams in the country. News Channel 5's Kelsey Gibbs is live outside the arena, and Kelsey, Vandy beating Florida, the Gators, is not something anyone really had on their card, but they pulled it out, and they say they're excited for the future.
Yeah, Tony, I'm sure fans were definitely rooting for this. It was excitement inside and outside of Bridgestone Arena when the Commodores beat that number 4 Gators. They walked in with such confidence, but they walked away with that 91-74 victory over the Florida Gators. And the Commodores have now won 4 straight games with 4 other players scoring in double figures. 6 different players hit from 3, and everyone who played scored. Florida came in on a 12-game winning streak, dominating opponents by more than 20 points a game. But on Saturday, they struggled from the floor, missing 12 of their first 13 shots. Vanderbilt took control before halftime, led 47-34 at the break, and never let the Gators get closer than 13 in the second half.
We took the matchup personal. We played them before at home a couple months ago and lost. Came up short, but we knew how physical and how intense the game was going to be, and we already had in our minds that we just had to go out there and be war ready.
So what's next? Today at noon, Vandy will take on number 17 Arkansas. They are hoping to get their first SEC title since 2012, and Tony, their 3rd in school history. So anchor down.
Anchor down. That's right, Kelsey. I mean, there's so much excitement, and I know a lot of fans are ready to see what happens next. And whether they win or lose, the top 25 ranked Vandy squad is pretty much guaranteed a spot in the NCAA tournament. Now, they'll find out their seed and opponent later tonight at the NCAA selection show, which starts at 5 o'clock. And they're not the only ones tuning in tonight. Fresh off their first conference win in over 3 decades, TSU is anxiously waiting to find out who they're going to play. You can find out with them at a watch party that's open on TSU's campus, and parking is free, and the doors to the Gentry Center open at 4. The public is welcome to come on out, or you can just catch the bracket announcement right here on News Channel 5. That starts at 5 o'clock. But before that, there's going to be a marathon of college basketball beginning at noon, and it'll run until that selection show. All right, let's switch gears now from sports to NES. The Nashville Electric Service has 380 linemen ready to respond for any outages that may come from tonight's storm. NES says a chance of high winds can bring down vegetation, which gets entangled in their electrical equipment. And those power lines often snap and they fall to the ground. Since January's storm, crews have assessed and trimmed over 2,800 miles of power lines, including overhanging trees that really pose a risk of outages. Now, hopefully your power stays on, but if it doesn't, there are a few ways to report an outage. One way is by texting OUT to 637-797. That number is also on your screen for ease. But there's also a way to report outages directly on their outage map. You can just search nespower.com/outages. Now, for many of us, January's storm is still top of mind, and that includes Brentwood, where the mayor told us 3 weeks ago that the cleanup efforts there could take up to 16 weeks. Now he's taking steps to make sure the city is informed and represented in an emergency. News Channel 5's Nikki Hauser met with the mayor to hear how a recent resolution was the first step.
In February, weeks after the big storm, we tagged along as Brentwood volunteers and Brentwood's mayor started cleanup in the city.
For being on a city commission that has no authority over electrical utilities, I feel like I learned a lot about electrical utilities.
This week, the Brentwood City Commission took it a step further, asking Metro Nashville for representation on its Electric Power Board, the body that oversees NES. Nashville's government establishes how it operates, and the existing charter requires all board members live in Davidson County. In a resolution Monday, commissioners petitioned Metro to allow for other city representation.
We kind of knew that we didn't have anyone from Brentwood currently on the board of NES, but just recently we found out that we couldn't have anybody on the board of NES.
Mayor Nelson Andrews told me this all came to light shortly after the January storm. People in his area lost power for a week. And even though NES covers much of Brentwood, the city didn't have much say in the matter.
So that's where I started getting the emails and the phone calls from citizens saying, why not? And I didn't have a good answer for why not.
He hopes representation on NES's governing board would avoid widespread tree damage and improve communication overall.
Given the amount of our city that's served by NES, I feel like we have something to offer, and I feel like we should be represented.
Now they wait for an answer, while a big cleanup continues.
Now, this is not the first time other cities or counties have asked for this kind of representation, like the cities of Laverne and Hendersonville. It's ultimately up to Metro Nashville to decide if it wants to consider Brentwood's requests or not. All right, let's take a live look now at the current Nissan Stadium, where the Titans are trying to help rebuild our area's blood supply. And this is, of course, after January's storm. And to do that, they're holding a blood drive with the American Red Cross this Wednesday from noon to 6 at the stadium's West Club. Now, we've heard from both the Red Cross and Blood Assurance, whose blood supplies are still low following this year's storm. Still to come this morning, while a partial government shutdown causes headaches for air travelers across the country, we're learning about another flight that had to be diverted after taking off from Nashville.
You are watching News Channel 5, part of the Scripps News Group.
All right, let's take a live look now at the Nashville airport, where yesterday an American Airlines flight out of Nashville headed to the Dallas-Fort Worth airport was diverted to Little Rock, Arkansas. We reached out to the airlines, who tells us that this was due to mechanical issues on the aircraft, which is an Airbus A319. It landed safely at the Bill and Hillary Clinton Airport, where a maintenance team is currently working on it. But American Airlines found other flights for the 129 passengers on board, and they say they apologize for the inconvenience. But air travelers all across the country are running into those long security lines and even travel headaches. Federal data shows more than 300 TSA employees have resigned during the partial shutdown, and unscheduled absences have doubled. The TSA says that it's adjusting operations to deal with the staffing challenges. The White House is blaming the shutdown on Democrats, who refuse to approve the Department of Homeland Security's budget unless Republicans agree to changes with ICE.
We are in a position of dominance that nobody's ever seen before.
All right, let's turn now to the Middle East, where President Trump says the war with Iran is, quote, ahead of schedule. CBS News has learned the Pentagon is sending up to 5,000 sailors and Marines to the Middle East. This comes as the president says the Navy will soon escort tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. That's a critical waterway through which a fifth of the world's oil flows. Uncertainty in the Middle East has led to higher gas prices in the U.S., prompting a mix of reactions.
I think they're quite expensive right now, especially for $4.30, 87. That's a lot.
It's fair market value. And so what's fair is what capitalism determines at that given time. And that's what the price is now. It's fair when it's low. It's fair when it's high. There's a reason for it.
Well, security concerns over the war have spilled into tonight's Oscar ceremony, with extra security patrols being stationed around this ceremony site. Still to come on News Channel 5 this morning, Matt's going to have a look at your 7-day forecast, plus this.
I'm Charles Denny. One of the fastest growing academic majors here at the UT Herbert College of Agriculture, and graduates who are in high demand on the job market. You'll meet construction science students next on News Channel 5.
All right, the time now 7:16 here at the Storm Farm Weather Center, because we got some important news when it comes down to those conditions later tonight. I know it's been beautiful yesterday. This morning is even going to be pretty good, right?
Yeah, so things pretty quiet out there right now. Clouds rolling in from the west ahead of tonight's storm system. Probably around 10, 11 o'clock or so, you're going to see the winds really start to engage and increase in velocity. We actually have a wind advisory in effect until tomorrow morning. Gusts up to maybe 35, 40 miles per hour. But then the show really gets going tonight around 8 o'clock or so. For our western viewers, and then through downtown Nashville around 10 o'clock tonight, followed by the plateau wrapping up around midnight. So here's what we're watching, folks. Quiet and cloudy right now. A look at Nissan Stadium, 61 degrees. A little bit of sunshine out there, but you're going to see the cloud cover really thicken up later this morning and afternoon ahead of tonight's storm system. Look at these predicted wind gusts. Exact track showing up to 35, maybe even 38 mile per hour wind gusts out of the south here in downtown Nashville around 3 o'clock tonight. We'll still be dry at that time, but just a very active atmosphere as things get going for tonight's line of storms. We are under a level 3 or a moderate risk for the possibility of strong to severe weather. That intensity decreases a little bit over on the plateau, but folks from Camden all the way to really Cookeville, you are going to be in store for a windy evening as you get ready for bed tonight. Today, though, still looking pretty good, 77 degrees. Wind advisory really getting going around lunchtime. Winds out of the south at 15 to 20 miles per hour, but no rain today. All quiet down on Lower Broadway. Our Acme Feed and Seed cameras, 65 degrees. There on the Cumberland River, 64 right now as the sun is coming up over Clarksville. And for the folks down in Franklin, Williamson County, a beautiful sunrise, my hometown, 62 degrees there in Franklin, Williamson County this morning. Look at the atmospheric setup. So we have strong winds gusting out of the south, some extremely cold temperatures back to the west of Wichita and Kansas City. That cold air mass is slowly inching toward Middle Tennessee, and anytime you get that collision of cold and warm air, that sets up the atmosphere for some strong storms, a line of storms that will be leading ahead of this cold front as it moves into Middle Tennessee later this evening. Here is exact track. So 1 o'clock today, maybe a little bit of sunshine, but cloudy conditions. Then things get going. So this is 8:30 tonight. If you live in Hopkinsville, Bowling Green, Clarksville, Dixon, Camden, this system is right at your back door around that time. Folks getting ready to go to bed here in downtown Nashville, 9, 10 o'clock. This storm, the leading edge, likely enters Nashville around 9:30 or so, according to the model data we have right now. Then it continues marching eastward into Crossville, McMinnville, Sparta, Livingston. That's where you'll see these storms around midnight tonight. So you still have about 12 hours or so to prepare because these storms are going to have straight line winds potentially in excess of 65, 70 miles per hour. Can't rule out the threat of an isolated tornado, some hail and heavy rains. And then the roller coaster ride continues behind the front. Extremely cold air pours in to downtown Nashville and Middle Tennessee Monday morning on the way to work. You could see some snow flurries tomorrow morning, even some light snow accumulation over on the plateau as this system exits Monday morning, followed by cold air spilling in. Here are the threats: a slight tornado risk, high winds, the primary threat, with some hail and flooding as well. The forecast tonight, 34 degrees. Really, that's tomorrow morning after the front has pushed in. And then 7 a.m., chilly. You'll want a jacket on the way to work. Here's the 7-day forecast. So looking like this: 40 on Monday, 42 St. Patrick's Day. Chilly to start the week, and then back into spring-like 70s by Thursday and Friday. Tony?
Drastic cool down. Thank you so much, Matt. Now, one of the most popular majors at UT's Herbert College of Agriculture is construction science and management. It's a rapidly growing field of study. Charles Denny has more on what students learn and the promising careers that's in front of them.
One given about society: we are always building something. Homes, businesses, recreational areas, construction is everywhere. That's the future career for these UT Herbert College of Agriculture students. Construction science and management majors in biosystems engineering and soil science. Here they're learning to use surveying equipment. Students like Eli Hubbs take measurements to calculate slopes and terrain.
There's math involved for sure, and trigonometry and stuff like that, but I mean, once you kind of get the hang of it, repeat it, and repetitiveness and all that stuff, like, it kind of comes natural at that point.
Construction science is now the second most popular major here at the Herbert College, only behind animal science. The department was created in 2011. It's grown in enrollment by about 20% a year since then, and today has more than 400 students.
So try to set up over your spot, nice and level.
Daniel Sane teaches this class. Here he tosses a pin on the ground, and where it lands, that's where students now have an assigned spot to aim a point and then set up what they call a total station. Sane says students graduate from this program with the knowledge to build many different projects.
We've got students that are in Guam currently working for construction companies in basically every state in the United States, and that ranges from healthcare jobs where you're building the hospitals that'll take care of people down the line, to roads and bridges and schools, to commercial construction.
Construction science graduates are in high demand on the job market, and companies look to this UTIA department for talent.
We really try to maintain a strong relationship with the industry. We always ask them what we're doing well, what we can do better, and we've got some companies that are really invested in what we do.
Herbert senior Jordan Simpson will soon start work as a project engineer for a Knoxville company.
I have signed a full-time offer after graduation, which is not unusual in our program. We do have 100% placement, so that's a really awesome thing about it. So I've signed a full-time offer.
Jordan and other students practice the skills needed to build our future communities, transitioning from classes to a career. As new construction goes up all around us, their knowledge and skill will be in demand. Charles Denny, News Channel 5.
All right, thank you, Charles. Still to come on News Channel 5 this morning, the old movies, they were right. Teenagers used to hang out back in the good old days, but social media isn't the only reason that's changed. A new study is pointing the finger at parents as well. Well, we've all seen the movies from the 80s and 90s, but in this case, the movies are true. Teenagers back in the day, they spent a lot of time more hanging with friends than being in the house. A University of Michigan study finds the number of high school seniors who say they gather with friends almost every day dropped from just over 50% in 1976 to now around 35% last year. Experts say parents have become just too involved in their children's lives, blocking opportunities for independence.
We've started to define good parenting by smoothing the road for our kid. We want to not prepare the road for our kid, we want to prepare our kid for the road.
Now, experts say too much structure in a child's life limits their desire to take risks and learn from the occasional failures. Very important information. All right, coming up in the next half hour of News Channel 5 this morning, a new effort to make our parks safer is being inspired by a woman killed on a Nashville greenway. Plus, a criminal record and state laws are keeping 500,000 Tennesseans from voting. We'll tell you about a law headed to the governor's desk that could help change that.
And we are under a Storm 5 alert today as we are expecting strong to severe weather to move through Middle Tennessee overnight tonight. We'll time it all out for you in just a few minutes.